Hello my dear students and welcome to today's class. As you can see on your screen, the topic is separation of substances. This is very important chapter, children. Please listen to it very carefully. Okay, so let's start the chapter. Many things around us are a mixture of different things. For example, the food we eat is made up of so many different things. Let us first define a mixture. A mixture is made up of two or more substances. See children, the substances which we get, okay, some substances are pure and some are impure, okay. And if we want to get a pure substance, we have to separate it. We have to take out the undesirable thing from it. Or if we want, there are many processes of making the substance pure. So, as we will proceed, I will tell you. First of all, I will tell you what is a mixture. A mixture is made up of two or more substances. Fine. The substances that make up a mixture are said to be pure. Pure substances are those which have same properties in a sample, that is same size, color, smell, etc. Okay. What is a substance? A pure substance means of the content, okay. The quality of it should be same, it should be of same color, same size, smell should be same, that is a pure form, okay. Now, all the properties of rice are of same color and size, thus rice is a pure substance. When we mix rice with other pure substances such as milk and sugar, we get a mixture, that is the kheer, okay. If you take a bowl of rice and you mix it with milk and sugar, you will get kheer, okay. So, this is an activity in which they have told you to observe that presence of any unwanted thing in a substance changes its property. You can just go through it, there is nothing much to explain in this, okay. Now, we will move to the next one. Okay. Why do we need to separate mixture? Why do we need to separate it? First, some of the reasons why mixtures are separated into their components are: first, for removing harmful substances present in a mixture. In case any harmful substances there in the mixture, you need to separate that. For obtaining one or more useful pure substances from the mixture. And the third one is for removing undesirable substance from the mixture. First is, if you want to remove any harmful substance, you need to separate it. Secondly, if you want the pure form of it, okay, for removing undesirable substances from the mixture. And third is for obtaining one or more useful pure substance. That is why we need to separate it, okay. Now, there are different methods of separating. First, as you can see on your screens, there are many types of separation methods. Some important ones are discussed over here. First is thrashing, okay. I will tell you what thrashing is. Thrashing, as you can see on your screens also, children. Okay, just hold on, okay. There's some problem, just give me a minute. Here. Now, I'll read out for you, then I'll explain. When crops of food grains such as wheat and rice ripen means when they are ready to be cut, they are harvested. When they are matured, they are harvested. Harvested means they are cut. Okay, this process is called harvesting. After harvesting, these crops are allowed to dry. Once the seeds mature, what happens? The farmers cut it and they leave that thing, the entire crop to dry, okay. Then once they get dry, they are divided into small bundles. These crops have stalks on which grains are attached and covered in a sheet called chaff. The process used for separating grains from stalk and chaff is called thrashing. You must have seen, especially in the villages and all, what happens once the crop is ready to be cut, the farmers cut it, and what happens after that? They leave it in the field to dry, and once it is dry, they make small bundles, and what do? Then they start beating on the ground. Okay, why do they do so? So that the seed is separated from the chaff, okay, and this is known as thrashing, okay. Now we'll move to the next one. Here, and this work is done manually also with the help of hand and with a thrasher also, okay. Big machine thrashers are there which do the same work as done by the hand, but the difference is if we do by hand it takes a lot of time, but with the thrasher all the work is done quickly, okay. Now winnowing, we'll move to winnowing now. When grains are separated by the process of thrashing, a mixture of crushed chaff and grain is obtained. The mixture is called husk, okay. Once you get the mixture, what is it called? It is called husk now. During thrashing, stalks are also broken into small pieces. This form of stalk is called hay and is used as a food for cattle. Grains are separated and obtained in a pure form by a process called winnowing. In this process, the farmer stands on a raised platform with a basket that contains the mixture of chaff and grains. He continuously shakes the basket slightly such that a continuous stream of this mixture falls down to the ground. Since chaff is lighter in weight than grains, the grains will fall directly on the ground, whereas the chaff falls some distance away as they are blown away by the wind due to their lighter weight. You can see this lady also in the diagram, it's shown. She is holding a basket in her hand. What will she do? She will take the basket, she will put that husk in that and she will do it like this, okay. What will happen? Chaff being lighter, okay, it will blow away with the wind, but as the grains, they are heavy, they will fall beneath, they will fall down only, okay. And this process is called winnowing. It is done with the help of wind. That is why winnowing, the word is derived from the word wind, okay. So with the help of wind, this process is done, okay. Now we'll move to the next one. This is again an activity to study the process of winnowing. You can just read it out, okay. Now we'll move to the second process. The third one is hand picking. Hand picking. With the help of hand, you start picking the things, okay. Now this method is used for separating impurities such as stones from grains and pulses. Hand picking, as the name suggests, means picking out by hand. In this method, grains containing stones are placed in a flat container. Stones are picked one by one from the thali. Slowly, all the stones are removed from the grains and we get grains free of impurities. Even at home, when your mother cooks rice or pulses, what she does? She do the hand picking. In case any stone is there in the rice or in the dals and all, what she does? She do it with the hand. She removes all that impurities, and once impurities are taken out, she will cook that, okay. Fine. Now we'll go for the fourth one, that is sieving. First I told you thrashing, second was winnowing, third one was hand picking. Now the fourth one is sieving, okay. You must have heard the word sieving or no, okay. I'll tell you this also here. Sieving is used when components of a mixture that are to be separated of different sizes. Only solid mixtures can be separated by sieving. Sieving is done with the help of sieve. You must have seen sieve. Sieve is a channi, okay. When your mother makes tea and all, what does she do? She takes a sieve, okay. The tea leaves are left in the sieve and the tea, which is in liquid form, will come in the cup, okay. A sieve is a wire mesh made mostly of iron. It can be made from wood as well. The mixture with particles of different sizes is put into the sieve. Smaller particles which are able to pass through the gaps in the sieve fall through the sieve on the ground, and the bigger particles are retained in the sieve. In this process, only two types of particles can be separated. If there are more than two different particles which differ in size, we can use sieves of different sizes or holes to separate the different particles. Even when your mama makes a chapati and all, she uses a sieve, okay. Mama channi use karti hai na aata chhanne ke liye, that is called sieving. Fine. Now we'll move to the next here. Sieving is also used for preparing the cement mixture used at construction site. The mixture of cement and sand called concrete is first passed through a sieve to get a fine and even mixture. It is then mixed with water to get a fine paste for fixing bricks together. So, I have told you 3 uses. One, when you make tea. Second, when your mama is making chapati. And the third one is when you have to, at the construction site, when the mason wants to put the bricks and all, he makes a paste with the help of the sieving. Okay. Now, the next one is sedimentation and decantation. Okay. Now, what is sedimentation? Sedimentation is the process of settling down of solid particles present in a solution. When the solution is kept still for a long time, for example, when we keep mud water in a container, after some time, some amount of mud settles at the bottom of the container and the water becomes clear. This process is used for separating insoluble solids from liquids. Okay, what happens? You take some mud water and leave it like that. Don't touch it. Okay, after some time, what will you see? You will observe that the mud has settled down at the base and the bottom only clear water is left. That is called sedimentation, and it is done to separate solid particles from the liquid one. Fine. Now, we will move to decantation. Decantation is the process of removing the supernatant from above the settled solid at the bottom of the container, such that the settled particles are not disturbed and stay in container only. For example, when we have to cook rice or pulses at home, we soak them in water for some time before cooking. This is done so that any impurities such as dust, insects and stones, which are lighter in weight than the grains, come up in the supernatant. This supernatant is then decanted carefully. Okay. This method of separation can also be used for two liquids which do not mix with each other. For example, a solution of oil and water. Since they do not dissolve into each other, water and an oil forms two different layers in the container. Since oil is lighter than water, it floats on the top of the water. As I told you, if you remember in your previous chapter, I told you about miscible and immiscible liquids. Okay. Water and oil, they do not dissolve. Okay. When you try to dissolve, only for some time it seems okay, they have dissolved, but after some time when they are left untouched, the oil will come up and the water will settle down. Okay. Now, the next one is loading. Okay. During sedimentation, the heavier particles settle at the bottom of the container. During sedimentation, the heavier particles, what do? They settle at the base of the container quickly, but the finer particles remain suspended in the water. To make the lighter suspended particles heavier, alum is used. This method is called loading. So, the heavier one will settle down, but lighter one will not settle down. They will remain mixed in the water. What we do, we add alum to it so that the lighter particles also settle down. Fine. When alum is added to muddy water, the finer particles get loaded with alum particles and form larger aggregates. This makes them to settle down faster. Okay, alum, if you add alum in the water, even the finer particles will settle down because the alum particles will get stick to that mud particles. Fine. Now, we will move to filtration. Okay. So, the next one is filtration. Filtration is the process of separating an insoluble substance from a liquid by passing it through a filtering device. In general, a filter paper is used. The filter paper is made into a cone and put on the mouth of a funnel. You take a circle and what you do? Then you make a cone and you put on the funnel, and whatever substance you want to separate, the substance should have a solid and a liquid. Okay. So, the solid things will be left in the cone and the liquid will be drained out. Okay. The funnel is put above a jar in which filtered liquid is collected. When a liquid with undesirable particle is passed through the filter paper, only the liquid passes through the filter paper and the undissolved particles are retained in the filter cone. Fine. Now we will move to evaporation. The next one is evaporation. Okay. In evaporation, a liquid changes to gas. Evaporation, what is the meaning of evaporation? Means with the help of heat, the substance is heated, and what will happen when the substance is heated? It will change into gaseous form. Evaporation is used to separate substances dissolved in a liquid. Evaporation occurs at room temperature, but the process is very slow. The liquid is generally heated to increase the rate of evaporation. The process of evaporation is more commonly used for separating salt from seawater. See children, how do we get salt? Okay, where is salty water? It is all in seas and oceans. Okay, the salt we eat in our daily food is obtained from seawater through the process of evaporation. The seawater is collected in large fields. Due to heat of the sun, the water evaporates and the salt is left behind on the ground. This salt is then processed to make it fine for human consumption. See what happens, the places where salt is made, what you will find? You will find, okay, what they do, they make big holes, okay, in the ground only, and all water is collected in this. The water is salty because the the water is salty due to the presence of salt in it. Now what happens? With the help of the heat of the sun, the water starts evaporating. And what do you get? In the last you get salt, and after different processes this salt is made fit for human consumption. Okay, now we will move to the next one. Condensation. Okay, this is condensation. Okay. Condensation is a process of cooling of a gas into liquid. Okay, evaporation was done with the help of heat. Now condensation is done with the help of cooling the substance. Okay, it is opposite of evaporation. Condensation can be used to extract both salt and pure water. When seawater is boiled in a kettle, steam comes out. This steam can be cooled into water droplets. These water droplets are of pure water. When all the water is converted into steam, only salt is left behind in the kettle. Okay. Condensation can also be observed on the surfaces of a glass filled with ice. When air comes in contact with ice, the water contents or moisture present in the air cools down and forms water droplets on the surface of glass. Okay, you must have seen in the summers, if you have a glass of chilled water, okay, suppose the glass is there like this, I have a glass with me. What will happen if the water in this glass is cold? In the summers you will see, if you keep it on the table and when you remove it, you can see some water is on the table. Why is like that? Due to the presence of moisture, the water was in the air also, and when it came in contact with the glass, it cooled down and it was left on the table. It was done due to the process of condensation. Okay. Now, solubility. What is solubility? When a substance is dissolved in a liquid, a solution is formed. कोई भी substance को आप जब liquid के अंदर dissolve कर देंगे, क्या बनेगा? Solution. Okay. For example, when we dissolve salt in water, a salt solution is formed. Now let us understand few terms. What is a solution? A solution is a mixture of solute and solvent. When you mix solute and solvent both together, you get solution. And what is a solute? The substance which dissolves in a solvent is called a solute. Here, the solution, you have taken salt and water. Okay, when you have mixed both of them, you got a solution. Now what is solute? Solute was, what was the solute? Salt. And what is solvent? The water is the solvent. So the substance in which a solute is dissolved is called a solvent. Now unsaturated solution and saturated solution. Solution in which more solute can be dissolved in the solvent is called a unsaturated solution. A solution in which no more solute can be dissolved in the solvent is called a Saturated solution. Unsaturated में क्या होता है? You take glass of water and you start adding sugar in it. It will dissolve, it will dissolve. But a time will come when no more sugar can be dissolved. That time it has reached unsaturated solution. It becomes unsaturated solution because no more sugar can be dissolved in it. Okay. And saturated is when a solution in which unsaturated is solution in which most solute can be dissolved. When you are dissolving it, that is unsaturated. Once it is not dissolved, it is not able to dissolve, it becomes saturated, okay, in which no more solute can be dissolved. You take a glass of water and you put sugar, you will start dissolving it. That time it is unsaturated, but saturated is the term which when we say no more sugar can be dissolved. Okay. Now, what is solubility? The ability of a substance to get dissolved in a liquid is called solubility. Dissolving can be defined as the process in which a substance mixes completely in a liquid. Okay. Now, I think with this we have ended the chapter. Please go through it once again. Okay. Read as many times as you can so that all your doubts can be cleared. Okay. Thank you and have a nice day.